Hey there, students. So in this video today, part two of matching for materials, labor, overhead, selling, and admin. So I'm going to give you more examples to really hammer this down because you have to know a lot of great examples of materials, labor, overhead, and everything else. It's essential to this class. You have to understand these foundational principles before any of the other chapters will make sense. So I want to make sure we really understand this before we move forward. So let's go through some more matching here. This will help you a lot. We talked a lot about this stuff in part one. I hope you watched part one of this. This is part two now. So let's keep going. So cost of lubricating factory machinery. So I see the word factory, right? So it's either materials, labor, overhead. One of those. Now, the machinery is needed to build a product, and all you're doing here, what I see is the word maintenance. You're just maintaining that, right? Maintaining that machinery, making sure it runs well, so you lubricate. So it's not directly related to building the product as far as materials or labor, but it's definitely part of the product because you need that factory machinery to work properly to build that product. So what do you think it is? I think it's overhead, which is letter E here. So overhead is E. Number 10, wages of assembly line workers in an automobile plant. So these guys are working. They're on the assembly line and they're building that car. Straightforward, direct labor, right? They're laborers. They work directly with that car. They put it together. Chief of surgery's salary at a hospital. This one's interesting. So the hospital is what's producing that service, right? There's so many different services that are offered at a hospital. And you have a dude that's chief of surgery there. And he's the one that's directly working on those patients. So that's actually direct labor. That's a toughie. Consider the hospital, right? That's where the services are. He is working on those patients in that hospital. He's a direct laborer in that hospital. Now, how about glue? So glue used when you're building furniture. We talked a little bit about this. It's not a piece of wood. Wood to build the furniture is a material. You need it to put the furniture together. But glue is what's needed to assemble it. So glue is actually considered an indirect material. That's what they call it. When you see the word indirect, I want you to think overhead. That's what indirect is. So that's considered overhead. There's a lot of key words here that you have to know. So write these down. It's important. Cost of shipping goods to customers. Well, when a customer buys something from you, if they don't live nearby, they expect you to ship it to them, the product. So that right there is cost of selling, right? You sell something to them, but you got to ship it. It's called a selling cost or selling expense, letter A. Number 14, a professor's salary at a university. Well, he's at a university, he's directly teaching those students. He is needed to keep that university running. So what do we call that? We call that a direct labor. It's interesting. Now, if there was a salary of, let's say, in the financial aid department, the primary service is teaching, right? It's education at a university. But if someone's in financial aid, right, that's still necessary to keep things running. But it's not a direct labor, right? Because they're not directly teaching that, that student like a professor would. So if they're in financial aid at that school, that'd be more of an administrative cost. It's necessary to keep that school running, but they're more in the admin department. It's tough. That's a toughie there. Anyway, salary of chief executive officer. Well, we don't know. He's not building the product directly, right? He's in that office building over there. He's outside the factory. So since he's in the since he's in the headquarters and not the factory, he's more of an admin dude. So we'll call him B for administrative expense. Now, cost of engines when you manufacture airplanes. Well, you're building airplanes, right? Is the engine needed to make that airplane run? Definitely. So that's material, right? It's directly in the plane. It's needed to build it. So they call that a material. So letter C for materials. Hopefully you're seeing the differences here. Very important that you can distinguish between these types of costs. You have to know it for your tests. Your teacher's going to throw a lot of examples out at you. So that's why I like to go over the foundational principles, because if you can understand this on a foundational level, no matter what your teacher throws at you, you'll get it right. So what I'd like you to do is rewind this video, rewind part 1. Take notes on what I'm saying. It's very important that you recognize keywords and you know right away, okay, well, factory, so that's got to be materials, labor, overhead. Okay, not factory, it's got to be administrative or selling. That kind of stuff. It's good to rewind these videos to really understand it and take notes. So that's it for the matching here. Hopefully that was helpful. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.